Today's video focuses on two words, should and could. No, we're not talking about rhymes. This isn't Sesame Street. I'm going to talk about the two words in a bit of context in my life and my career, but I also then invite you to think about those two words and how they may pertain to your life. Should, the past tense of shall. Heard that a lot as a child, and it seemed appropriate, as children need direction. They don't have necessarily the skills to make choices that are not harmful. So you get told a lot of times that you should do this and you shall do this. Some of those phrases from my youth, when I did make a mistake, you should know better. And as I grew up and chose my vocation, should, or the past tense of shall, seemed like a natural fit going into church work. If you think about the Hebrew scriptures and the commandments, there's a lot of you shall not. If you were to be a follower of a particular religion, faith, denomination, there were lots of shoulds. Kind of interesting. Shoulds as far as duty, as far as must, as far as ought, as far as there are obligations if you choose to be this particular religion. And you've heard it said a number of times as well that oftentimes we should all over ourselves, and indeed that became part of my life. The obligations, the duties, the shoulds were based in a lot of ways on some fear. The fear of punishment, the fear of eternal punishment, the fear of disappointing other people, the fear of what if I don't measure up. Should. Pretty powerful word. The other word, could. Past tense of can. And before you go too far in your thought processes, I know what you might be thinking, but I'm not going there. I am not talking about the container that holds America's favorite meat product. Can, could, talks of choices, possibilities, opportunities, growth. It's a great word, and I believe has more freedom, has more opportunities for learning, has more potential not only to make choices, but to learn from those choices so you can make more choices. And that self-discovery isn't fearful. It is actually freeing to know that I can look at things in this world and I can make choices. I can do that. And if for whatever reason it doesn't work, I can learn. I can grow. Could. I wish I would have heard that a lot more than should. You should wait until you're married before you have sexual activity. You should get married in a church. Your service should have appropriate kind of music. The shoulds. If you're going to have a child baptized, it should be done during a worship service. Lots of shoulds, and early in my career as a pastor, those were pretty important, and I don't know if it was so much a power issue on my part as trying to maintain the integrity of the church or of what it is to be a Christian. Part of that integrity, and that was in many ways put into me over the course of time, and I welcomed it because it provided boundaries, and as I stated earlier, it provided a bit of fear. Part of what happened is if one pastor in a community or in a nearby church would be lax on some of the shoulds, then all of a sudden it was going to be a problem for everybody else. You know, if somebody stepped out of line, so the pressure was there, the fear was there to do what you should. As I'm making this, I try to think back of when was the last time that I performed a wedding in a church. Now the possibilities are endless, not only for destinations, but for outdoor venues or for small services. There's possibilities because relationships aren't just based on tradition and, if you want to say, right behavior or possibly fear, that relationships should be about creativity and possibilities and looking at what it is to express who we are. And that goes for many other aspects of life as well. The pandemic, March of 2020, opened up lots of things. Yes, there was some fear of what's going to happen, and so things shut down. But it opened up a lot of new avenues for being creative, one of which is you're watching this. It started kind of as a small little way to keep in contact with the people I serve in Hillsboro, North Dakota. And now it's become kind of a fun, creative way just to interact. So I would much rather talk about could than should. And I think a lot of our culture these days is based upon could. What could work? What could be the outcome? What are our choices? What are our freedoms? Personally, I think could is much more favorable in my life than should. And part of where this phrase came from, or if you want to say the title of this video came from, was a recent trip with my daughter who said, "Dad, you've seemed to become kind of stale. You've seemed to become kind of complacent. That you used to be more spontaneous, and that if something needed to be done, you were more than willing to do it or try to fix it or to get involved in it." It gave me a lot of opportunity to think that maybe, and not just maybe, yes, it is real, I got caught into the shoulds, the boundaries, the fears, the fear of what's going to come next, the fear of what are people going to think, the fear of how is my life going to continue from this point. I'm going to go for could. It could be possible. I could learn new things. I could experience new things. I could get new perspectives. Should, could. I invite you to think about it, to ponder it, and to see where it leads you. Once again, thanks for watching.